What's up everyone and welcome to another Lutheria video. In this video we are going to be talking about all of the different trades that we have covered and forecasted here over the last couple weeks on just Bitcoin alone and the different profit percentages that those trades have made. I think it's instructional, just seeing, what are the types of trades that we're talking about here. How do they kind of, you can kind of see the trend between the different types of trades that I personally like to take and that we talk about on the Lutheria Telegram channel, as well as on these YouTube videos that a lot of people have liked. And so I wanted to just share how the trades that we've talked about on this channel have performed over the past couple weeks. So the first trade that we had, we're going to start with the 21st of February and go over to the current moment. We'll talk about the wins and the losses, and then we'll total up the ROI at the end. So the first trade that we had was this little candle right here. Now this little candle is pretty significant. You don't want to disregard this little candle. And this is the trade that we had right here. So we were going short once the price traded below this, and we had two candle closes below this low. That made this gray zone a resistance level, so we put our stop loss right above that gray zone, and we shorted downtown. And so, what was the profit potential there? Well, we had our entries at the body of the candle, right there. I'm going to change this to pink because I just like the color pink better than that ugly turquoise color, and it's easier to see. And then we had one at the daily, the top of the daily high here, because we knew, that is the minimum level that we would have to go up to if we're going to trade up here in the following day. What we saw was we had a perfect reaction to this gray level in the subsequent 4 days following that. And this trade alone, if you were to make an entry at those levels, would have yielded roughly 17.46%. So I'm just going to start tallying these up on my phone here. So just give me a little bit of leeway there. So that's 17.46%. Now we don't have another trade on the daily time frame, so that is the only daily time frame trade that we have taken in this time frame. The other daily trade we were looking to take has still not gotten tapped. It's a retest of this gray level, and we have not yet done that. So let's move down to the hourly time frame here. I believe it was on the 8 hour. Was it on the 8 hour? Or no, it was on the 4 hour. Okay. So here was another trade that we took. And this one was right here. So this white candle right here was a level of, this kind of represented the end of this consolidation period in price where we were kind of deciding where the price was going to go after this drawdown. And we pushed down further, came up, formed a little high, pushed down further, and then pushed right through this price. So a retest of that zone is going, this zone should act as strong support, since it should have acted as resistance right here, but we pushed right through it. So if we were to long on the top of the body of that candle right there and ride that up, that was about a 10.9%. So we'll add that. Initially, when we were looking for this trade right here, what we were then looking for was, after that point, after we pushed up, were we going to come down and go right through this zone on a second test, or were we going to bounce off of it again? Now what we did was, right here in this area, we actually changed the trend back to bearish. After we had this run up right here, we changed it back to bearish right here. How do we know that? Well, we had our high, low, lower high, and then lower low. Now this trade right here we could have taken, but I was asleep when this trade occurred, which is really sad because this was a nice one. We would have entered on a retest of this gray zone right around here, and that would have taken us down about 8.6%, but we didn't get that trade. But what trade did we talk about on the channel? Well, it was actually this little white candle right here. Now, this little white candle right here continued the bear trend down. So we had a high, low, lower high right here, and then lower low. And so that makes this a resistance level. Price comes back into this level. It then rejects off of it. If you were to get an entry inside of there, take that. Oh, sorry, the magnet is messing up with my measurement tool. Take that down to the bottom. That's about 4.58. So we'll add that. Then from there, we are not going to try and take this trade again right here to short it again, because I personally like to take the first test of levels like this, because they're far more significant. So you can see the trend that we're taking is like we're riding the trend. Wherever the price is going, we're riding the trend. When we're on the daily time frame, we're looking for an established move up or down to establish some sort of a trend. Now we set this high and then we push down for a lower low. Now right here, this is going to be a resistance zone, so we shorted that because of the trend, because the momentum was now going down. So now if we go to the 4-hour time frame, this was the same exact sort of trade here, except on the bull side. Here we pushed down through it and then came up to it and shorted it. Here we pushed up through it and came down into it, so we longed it. It's the same exact type of trade as up here, where it should have acted as either a support or resistance. Here it was resistance. Here it should have been support. And we then, the price does not respect the level at all. So then on a retest, it is support, and we go up from there. This is the same exact type of an idea here. We're riding the trend. This is a bearish trend down. So a retest, on this level right here would have played well. Same thing here, played well. Now, once we come above it, now what we can do, and another thing I just want to show with this was that this was confluent with the pivot level right here. So this entry right here was one of the best entries that we had for the month. And this entry was consistent with this inverse head and shoulders pattern that we were talking about here during this time frame. And this 12-hour, if we go to the 12-hour, we can see, sorry, these are messy. We had our left shoulder, right shoulder, and then, left shoulder, head, and then right shoulder. And once we got a break above this, now we're going to the target, right? And the target we talked about down here, we measured it up in the videos. We said it's roughly about 61K. We went up to 61,925, and we rejected off of that level. So that 4-hour trade, this one retest of this zone, because once we close above it, it's going to act as support. We could have gotten in. We had an order on the wick and an order on the body, and if we were to enter that trade, let's shorten this up so we can actually see. That would have given us, can't see very well, about 24.15%. Okay, so now what is the next trade that we took? Well, we didn't take anything in this range. We were trying to take a retest of this gray zone. We did not get there. Unfortunately, sometimes that happens where once you break above an established resistance level like this one that we tested multiple times, you don't get the retest before we go to the price target. So the price ran away from us, but there was one other entry that we talked about in this time frame, and that was this one right here. And this candle was our support level. Once we had these two closes above this level, this high, it made this level a support zone, so you could long a retest of the body of that candle. If you were to do that, that trade alone would be about 12.6%. So we'll add that in as well. And we haven't had a loss just yet. So we did have some losses over the past couple weeks, but that was not one of them. Here is one that we had right here. So let's talk about this one. So right here was this gray zone, and we were talking about taking a long trade on this position because we had our low, high, higher low, and then higher high. So we had an established uptrend in price, but then the price went right through this level and closed below it. So we got stopped out because we put our stop loss right below this gray zone right here, right around 55,900. So we got stopped out right there, so we can measure the amount, the percentage from the top to the bottom, and that is about 3.98. So we'll subtract that. Okay, and then the next trade that we had was actually this recent short. So this recent short is evidenced by this short position tool that I have pulled up right here. So once we close below this level, since this should have acted as support, what we can do then is we can say, all right, that's fine. This is a resistance level then. So I'm going to short a retest of this zone. This was also consistent with this pivot level right here. And so what I did was I had an entry, I had a short on the bottom of the wick of the candle and then one on the body of the candle. That averages out to, you know, somewhere around, well, I think actually what I did was I think I put the entry above the wick of this candle here because I knew once this candle closed, this was the minimum that we would have to go up for for us to test this gray zone. So I put an entry there and an entry on the body. So we entered right at about where this line is on here. And then from there, we went down about 4.15%. So for the total for the month, we would have made 69.92% over the course of these trades, including the loss that we recently took on the 12-hour time frame. So 69.92% over the last couple weeks here is pretty good. So I'm happy with the results that we've gotten. I'm going to continue to update on this channel with future trade setups that I'm looking at and different ideas that I have. They don't always go my way. I obviously, you know, as we just saw right here, sometimes you get stopped out. And sometimes you miss entries. A couple other entries that I was looking at making right here. Here's another one that really saddened me. We had this gray zone right here, right after we changed the 12-hour time frame. I mean, look at how close we were to getting into that trade. I mean, we had our low, high, higher low, and then higher high. This was our support level. We literally missed it by probably less than 0.5%. And then we ran up like, you know, crazy. And so that'll happen sometimes. Sometimes you don't always get the entries. But the important thing, you know, the main takeaway here is to wait for the trades. You know, like there was a lot of time in here where we weren't really doing too much in terms of making trades. And you wait for the trend to be established and then you enter the trade. And so that's what I personally prefer to do. So you wait for something to happen. You wait for either a bearish or bullish trend to emerge, and then you make an entry on the support or resistance level from that point. And so currently right now, you know, we're waiting for this this short to play out. But after that point, we will start scouting for the next entry. I hope you guys liked this video. If you liked it, give it a like down below. Subscribe for future cryptocurrency and blockchain educational content. And until next time, onward and upward.